Hello there friends and welcome. For today's Pathfinder Enhanced Guide we have an updated Camellia build. This time we'll be going all out into tanking for the highest armor class we can achieve. During battle, as always, your armor class will be way higher than that. We can reach up to 125 AC. And most of the buffs here are actually long duration, or from passive abilities even. Sure, you might say we have one angel buff, but each mythic path has their own way of increasing Cam's AC even further. Even if you were to take the bonus from SKALD away, we would still have higher than 115 armor class. Camellia is actually one of the most versatile characters in the game. She can do quite a bit of everything. Tank with extreme AC, even fight decently at melee too with this build we'll get to do, has an amazing spellbook with many useful buffs, and lastly provide a lot of utility through her hexes, from debuffing the enemies to increasing her own armor class and achieving yet another layer of defense. So without further ado, let us get into our Cam tank build. Alright, so ideally for the first few levels you want to actually keep Cam as a Spirit Hunter. Her hexes will highly increase her tanking capabilities, the same for spells. Overall, Spirit Hunter is a great class. For her skills, mobility and trickery are fine. You want at least 3 mobility, so whenever she fights defensively, she gets the armor class boost. For the first hex, this can go in 2 different ways. Both are amazing for tanking. Ice Plant will provide a stacking plus 2 bonus to armor class, and there is a ring you can find as early as chapter 1 that increases this by a further plus 2, so plus 4 total. Protective Luck, on the other hand, is one of the best defensive abilities available. You can force all of the enemy's attacks to roll twice and pick the worst result when attempting to hit you, thus highly increasing the chances of the attacks not hitting, especially because it can even prevent critical hits or automatic hits on 20s. For unfair, I would pick Protective Luck first because you can't really afford getting hit. After all, you take double damage. And early game, that's super annoying. On the other hand, for core, hard and below, I would rather go for Ice Plant first. Also note that Protective Luck doesn't have any limitation. You can spam this as many times as you want, you have unlimited uses. For level 3, go with Dodge for an extra point of armor class. It's also a prerequisite for the highly powerful Crane Wing and Crane Style feats. At this point you'll get level 2 spells, including the very useful False Life for temporary hit points, and Bark Skin for even higher AC, which does stack with the Ice Plant Hex. 8 can grant even more temporary hit points too. At level 4, increase Dexterity, which is also what you want to increase on all of the other levels. When it comes to Wisdom, you can just enhance it further through headbands. For your level 4 hex, Protective Luck or Ice Plant, depending on what you picked before. Now, while we'll be multiclassing with Barbarian and 2 levels of Instinctual Warrior, so Cam gets her Wisdom modifier added to her AC, together with Dexterity, I don't think this is needed so early, especially because the early Spirit Hunter Shaman spells are quite handy to have for buffing, debuffing, healing, even summoning. The same for the extra hex you'll get at level 8, which by the way will also increase the duration of your Protective Luck hex by another round. It will then last 2 rounds, which is way better because you won't need to spam it as much. Usually you can just cast it before battle starts at level 8, and 2 rounds will be enough for the entire battle or almost all of it. So I would much rather keep Camellia as a Spirit Hunter until at least 8. But you can already go for the 2 levels into Instinctual Warrior now if you prefer. Now at this point you might also consider already getting Cam her Vivisectionist level, as it can essentially provide her with 4 extra points of armor class with just 1 dip. The Mutagen will grant 4 Dexterity, which means 2 extra AC, even more attack rolls too and damage later, and also another stacking source of natural armor class, even 1 dice of sneak attack too. So for level 5, go with 1 level of Vivisectionist or delay it for later. Now as far as Shaman level 5. Level 5 can even grant Camellia the ability to enchant her weapons with multiple elemental damage and the King property, which will come in handy. Anyways, for level 5 as a feat, Improved Unarmed Strike. Sadly Camellia cannot multiclass with Monk, which means she can't get this for free. And it is a prerequisite for the highly useful Crane Wing and Crane Style feats. For level 7, it is true that you could already get Outflank now, but since this cam is focused mostly into tanking, especially for the early game, I would rather go for Crane style now. It can serve as a way of increasing her attack rolls too, because it reduces the penalty from fighting defensively, but even grants you more armor class. Don't forget to cast the Greater False Life spell starting from this point too, which will stack with normal False Life for even more temporary hit points just in case Cam gets hit. Stone Skin is amazing for damage reduction instead. For level 8, what we want now is Evil Eye, as it can indirectly work as another way of increasing Cam's armor class against a single target. At level 8, it can grant a -4 penalty to the enemy's AC or attack rolls, even saving throws. Ideally, you want to go for attack rolls if you want to increase Cam's AC. It's perfect for bosses and other tough enemies, or you can reduce their AC instead. Because it has infinite uses like Protective Luck, and even if the enemy saves, they'll still be hit by the effect for 1 round, it's a very powerful hex to have. At this level, Cam also gets Enemy's Bane, which will serve as a way of highly increasing her damage, despite the fact we are mostly focused into tanking. It's an extra 2d6 irresistible damage against any enemy in the game, and if your weapon already has Bane against the target, it will become a massive 4d6, because of how easy it is to get Demon Bane through the Crusader's Edge spell. Combining it with this makes for quite a lot of extra damage to Camellia. Now at level 9 is when I would go into Barbarian and Instinctual Warrior. You can of course delay this for later even, if you want to get level 5 spells first. It's just that it's mostly going to be Animal Growth for pets, and that's pretty much it. Or you can get Vivisectionist first too, if you didn't pick it before. You can put the remaining skill point anywhere you want, like use Magic Device. For your level 9 feat, Rain Wing to increase Cam's AC even further. At level 11 with the second level of Instinctual Warrior, we'll finally add our Wisdom modifier to armor class. And at this point, because this requires you to be unequipped with any armor at all, well, just remove your armor and go with Braces of Armor or Mage Armor potions. Now, if you've delayed Vivisectionist before, this is when you should get into it at last. Understand that the feat selection will be the same regardless of the order you pick these classes, like between Instinctual Warrior, Shaman, and Vivisectionist. For the level 11 feat, this is when I would pick Outflank at last. A little bit late, sure, but we kinda wanted to focus on the defensive feats first. For the Alchemist spells, it's mostly just going to be True Strike, and most importantly, Shield. As at this point, Camellia won't be able to equip a Buckler anymore. Level 12 onwards is when I would resume progression into Spirit Hunter. The remaining spells and a few hexes will help a lot. For level 13, improved critical into Rapiers at last. The main reason I'm delaying this is, well, we don't have the feats to spare earlier, plus, as I said before, Camellia's Spirit Enchantment lets her add the King property, which is the same effect as improved critical, as early as level 5 even. Now, for another hex, you have a few options here. Battle Master will further improve Cam's damage and attack rolls later on. Hampering Hex can reduce the enemy's AC even further and does stack with Evil Eye for a -8, while Fortune is amazing to buff allies with, although it has a pretty low duration, and unlike Protective Luck, cannot be spammed. I would rather go for Battle Master now, but the choice is up to you. Then Weapon Specialization, Rapier. For level 15, Improved Initiative. For another hex you might as well pick Fortune, as pretty soon it's going to last for 3 rounds, which is a lot more manageable for bosses and the other tough battles. For level 17, Piranha Strike to increase Cam's damage, and at this point, we have enough bonuses to AB to make up for the penalty to attack rolls. For level 19, you can pick anything you want. There's Crane Riposte too, which you can potentially pick before. Combat Reflexes can work too, but Cam has other ways of increasing her attacks of opportunity. You can even pick Toughness if you want, for higher hit points. And Weapon Focus into Rapier, so you have both the normal and greater focus from the Battle Master hex. Just go with Crane Riposte if you don't know what to pick. For the last hex, you might as well go for Chant. Chant lets you extend Fortune and Protective Luck indefinitely, limited only by your patience because you'll have to keep spamming it again and again. For Protective Luck, it's not really that needed because we can just spam it as much as we want. On the other hand, since Fortune Hex has a cooldown, this can help. And then go for Greater Weapon Focus Rapier for free. At 20, go for the last Spirit Hunter level so we can cast level 9 spells. Alright, let us cover Mythic Progression now for our tanky Camellia build. For the first Mythic ability, go with Last Stand. It is after all the ultimate tanking ability of them all, so even if the enemies manage to get past the multiple layers of defense Camellia has, Last stand will save the day. For Mythic level 2, you can pick Mythic Dodge. It's just a +1 to AC, which I find a bit disappointing. I would rather go for Mythic Weapon Finesse. This way Cam can add her high dexterity modifier to her rapier attacks for a great damage boost. For Mythic level 3, I would go for Archmage Armor. At this point it's already a +7 to her AC, and as you already have the Instinctual Warrior levels, we can't really wear armor anymore. And remember, you can just get this to proc through potions and scrolls of Mage Armor, which lasts 1 hour of real time. More than enough for anything in the game. For Mythic 4, Mythic Critical into Rapiers. Or if you weren't level 13, which is when we get Improved Critical, the normal feat at this point, pick Mythic Weapon Specialization instead. Or Mythic level 5, Ever Ready. I suppose you can also pick it instead of Archmage Armor at 3, if you want Cam's melee potential to be higher. It's just that I wanted to focus all out on tanking first. For Mythic level 6, Mythic Weapon Specialization, Rapier. For Mythic 7, Second Spirit, Nature. Amusingly enough, it will grant you a pet once you hit level 16 Shaman, which is somewhat late for this build. But we actually want this for free access to the Cemental spell, which Cam cannot get otherwise. It's a level 8 spell that can increase her armor class by a massive +8, there really is nothing else like it. I know some will say why not pick Wind and even pick it earlier for the Air Barrier ability, honestly because Archmage Armor is simply way better, and we only get one Second Spirit pick. Might as well go with Nature for Cemental, and well, the pet, which is better than all of the other benefits here. You can choose any pet you want because you'll get it super late, but the Boar, Dog, and Wolf are the best ones. For Mythic 8, choose between Mythic Piranha Strike or Mythic Initiative depending on what you prefer. Higher initiative or higher damage. The other one you can pick at Mythic 10. For Mythic 9 you can truly pick anything you want, including Mythical Beast because you'll have the pet already at this point. I will just go with Limitless Rage. The only reason I don't pick this earlier is, well, our Rage as a level 2 Instinctual Warrior, all it will do is basically increase our Wisdom by 2, which means 1 point of extra armor class. It's not really that amazing. But since we have the Mythic ability to spare now, why not go for it? As for Mythic level 10, the choice will be between Mythic Piranha Strike, Mythic Initiative, or Mythic Weapon Focus, as at this point Cam will already have both the focus abilities. Alright, now let us cover gear for our tank Camellia. For the amulet, Voracious Spirit is by far the best one. After all, it's not only the amulet you get at her last personal quest, but the stacking +5 bonus to armor class you can achieve whenever killing an enemy together with the other very powerful bonuses, including temporary hit points, which do stack, and the fact these bonuses all last until your next rest. It's certainly one of the most stacked amulets in the entire game. For armor, early game you want to go with chain shirts, however once you get 2 levels into Instinctual Warrior, you cannot equip armor anymore, otherwise you will lose your Wisdom bonus to armor class. For robes, the Apprentice robe is by far the best choice here, as it can increase your Mage Armor spell, especially when buffed through Archmage Armor by yet another point. For belts, Lizard Tail is the ultimate tanking belt in the entire game. It has higher bonuses for pets or polymorphed characters, but even if you aren't one, you'll still get a massive +8 circumstance bonus to AC during the first round of combat. And to be fair, by the time you can get this belt at chapter 4, battles will be over in 1 round anyways. For gloves, embroidered gloves are the best overall for tanking due to the +3 luck bonus to AC that you cannot get anywhere else. The downside is they come very late at chapter 5 only. You might also consider the gloves of phlebotomy to give Cam bleed on hit, also Death Dealer for higher sneak attack damage, and that's pretty much it. For boots, as a dexterity based character, Ronak Sacrifice is the best, especially as it will increase the haste bonus to AC even further. For helmets, the Helmet of Camaraderie is the way to go. It can increase Cam's AC by a further +3 morale, a very rare type of bonus, so we'll stack with everything else we get. Before finding this helmet, go with headbands that increase Cam's Wisdom. Later you can combine it with the broken Trickster glasses not only for the bonus to Wisdom, but most importantly the ultimate tanking ability due to its secondary effect. For rings, Icy Protector is a must-have, so we can get another +2 bonus to our Ice Plant Hex. Remember, you can get this as early as chapter 1 at the tavern you start the game in. And also the Ring of Evasion, as Cam can achieve very high reflex due to her amazing dexterity. This way she can easily escape spell damage too, to combine high AC for tanking, physical hits, and evasion for spells. For the bracers, I just have rough landing here because they can potentially increase your AC even further, but it only works against flying enemies. Still, we have a lot of winged demon enemies in the game. This was recently suggested by a viewer in my latest Scylla Paladin tank build, thanks a lot friend. Now let us cover weapons and quick slots for our Cam. For weapons, rapiers are the way to go. You have many powerful ones in the game, probably because Camellia is a party member focused on them. The best one overall is Translucent Needle of Astonishment, which you can also find at Cam's last personal quest, just like the Voracious Spirit Amulet. It already has evolved Ciderbane, and can even paralyze enemies with a pretty high DC. Even if they fail, they'll become staggered, which is crippling too. Overall, the most stacked rapier. As you can only get this at chapter 5, for chapter 4 you also have Interceptor, and there's also the Holy Rapier for chapter 3, that's pretty much it. As far as quick slots, honestly just remember that because Cam gets massive bonuses from the Archmage Armor ability, she should always have either potions or scrolls of Mage Armor, both have the same effect, and they last long enough too, and are also numerous. You can find loads and loads of this in the game. As always, your Cam can also get a pet for free through the Triceratops statuette if you want, and I suppose there are some other quick slot items that can enhance her trickery skill. Lesser Extend and Extend Metamagic Rods are a great help too to increase the duration of her buffs. Well, alright friends, so this was it for my updated Camellia tank build. If you found it useful, please remember to like, subscribe, and also consider becoming a channel member. I always appreciate your support. Thank you for watching and see you next time, friends.